Paul, thanks for sitting down with me. Much appreciated. We're here at the meeting of the Upov working group on biochemical and molecular techniques. Is Bayer using these techniques?
Yes, Bayer is definitely using these techniques in their breeding pipeline. I would say that molecular markers have a very strong influence through the breeding process. A variety from its inception through commercialization, those that make it all the way, might be sent to the lab 5 or more times for different genetic analyses. Different breeding decisions might be driven off of molecular markers. So definitely heavily used in the breeding process.
So these techniques and tools, how are they helping plant breeders to create better varieties?
Yes, they're certainly helping us create better varieties. We might use molecular markers first to understand our germplasm, shifts in germplasm, and track changes in our breeding pipeline. But also we'll do marker trait associations, maybe for disease resistances or other simply inherited traits. We'll also do genomic prediction, where we'll use a set of markers across the whole genome to predict quantitative traits like yield and other agronomic traits. And these techniques allow us to speed up our breeding cycle, also allow us to cut cost, thereby increase the size of our breeding pipeline. And speed and size of your pipeline or selection intensity are key components to the breeder's formula genetic gain. And so it allows us to speed the rate of genetic gain in our breeding pipeline.
Brilliant. But it's not just seed companies that are using these tools, it's also more and more the DUS examination offices. In your view, do you think these DUS offices should be using more of these tools, and why?
Well, it's a good question. It's clear that breeding companies, especially for the crops that are the focus of the most intense breeding effort, are using these techniques. And so there is a risk of DUS examination offices losing touch with the source of variation on which breeders are basing much of their selection. There's also clear advantages in using markers by examination offices as far as efficiency. They're cheap, they're fast, they're reliable, repeatable, and it can also strengthen IP.
Seems very compelling reasons for the US examination offices to use these tools. Do you see a trend there?
Yeah, I do see a trend. I've been involved in the BMT. This is my 5th year of involvement. Yeah. And even in the 5 years of my involvement, there's been an uptick in the number of BMT presentations devoted to the use of markers in DUS. We also hear positive feedback from colleagues here at the BMT and other associations with other countries, other testing authorities that we interact with, giving us positive feedback and sharing ideas. So there's definitely a trend towards the use of markers in DUS.
But I'm also seeing that some countries are quite far ahead and other countries are a bit hesitant, starting to use these tools. How can we bridge that gap?
Yeah, some countries are ahead. I think that's okay, though. I think there's some kinks to work out, some conventions to establish, and the countries that are more proactive in using markers, they can pave the way, and I think that will help other countries adopt more readily when they're ready to do so.
Yeah. Of course, it's not all roses and sunshine when using these tools. There's also some challenges. Which challenges are there?
Yeah, there are some challenges. I think one challenge is establishing a convention. Right, so at some point you need to come up with a threshold below which varieties are deemed to be distinct and above which you would conclude that marker evidence is not showing distinctness. And there's no magic bullet to establishing that threshold. In statistics, we like alpha 0.05 for statistical significance. What's magical about alpha 0.05? Nothing really magical. It's just a convention that we've adopted and we're comfortable with and familiar with. And so with molecular markers, there are conventions that need to be established, and that'll take a little bit of effort. And I think there's also some hesitancy from some testing authorities. Maybe they see markers as maybe chipping away at the foundations of Upov, but I think we can work with that. I think really what we need to convey is that molecular markers can actually strengthen Upov and keep it relevant with the modern plant breeder.
Yeah, those are very strong strong reasons to go in that direction. Do you think that over time should we or will all variety testing go to molecular tools?
Exclusively to molecular tools, I don't think so. I don't think that's possible. There are things that are very difficult to capture just in the markers. So there will always be room for and a need for the morphological data and establishing distinctness. Now, should or could molecular markers be the first tool that the testing authorities use? I think possibly that should be the first tool eventually.
Yeah, actually, over time.
Yeah.
Will take some time.
It will take some time.
Great. Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome. Thank you, Marcel.